All right, everyone, we should be live with another fun-packed live stream. Of course, didn't get around to it yesterday, had shit to do, so there's a little bit of a backlog today. Although yesterday was such a slow news day, it was like, honestly, I was like, even if I didn't have anything to do, maybe I would just fucking sit on the couch and watch cooking shows or something. I'm going to make sure that everything's working. Rumble was being a little bit slow with, just a second here. Am I live on Rumble? Rumble's still being a little bit slow loading things right now. I think they might be doing site maintenance or something, but I do see the chat is working. Make sure that I'm actually not talking to myself. Come on. Show me the stream. I know that people on YouTube can see me. I am not your kind says no sound. That's got to be on your end. Oh, come on. Yeah, Rumble wasn't giving me the material that I needed to start the live stream right away. I'm still not live on there, I think. 2 people in chat over on Rumble. Can you see and hear me? I know that you're there, but I can't see myself actually on video. I keep refreshing it. Technical difficulties, I suppose. I think there's something wonky with the site right now, unfortunately. Nobody's saying that they can see or hear me over there. Which I'm assuming, I mean, if they can't see or hear me, then they can't answer what I'm asking them to put in chat. So I have a feeling that I'm not actually live on Rumble right now, or at least not for everyone. I'm not seeing myself. It's a big problem. Anyway, I figured that I would start off today talking about the cat because I've got a beef with one of our cats. Of course, we do have 2, believe it or not. I know they do look similar. And that is Yana, of course. Last night, she decided to piss up in the hallway. And so I woke up to the rich smell of cat piss right in the morning. Really, really wonderful. And I had to fucking clean it up, of course. You can't get the cat to clean up after herself. So that was number 1. She came up onto my desk. And I had an energy drink over on the side. She flummoxed her way up here, and I was trying to push her away from the mouse. Naturally, she stumbles sideways, and she knocks the energy drink over. So that became a problem, too. Then she decided to attack her sister several times while rowling loudly, which she does at night anyway. It's almost like a morning rooster. You know, rooster, the sun comes up and it starts, doing the cock-a-doodle-doo. She basically does the same thing. She doesn't always wait for the sunrise, though. It's more like maybe 6:30 in the morning or something like that. It's crazy. So yeah, I ended up doing 5 takes of the first video this morning, the one for the California marijuana issue. It took 5 takes to make that video because she kept knocking things over and attacking her sister. So I'm just putting the cat on blast here, just for shits and giggles. Okay, people are telling me there is no stream active at this time on Rumble. I don't know if that'll change. I'm assuming not. So if Rumble has abandoned me at the moment. If you are, people tell others in chat that the Rumble stream may or may not actually start at all because, Anyways, Matakoyo, hello, Sticks. I want to go visit my baby cousin, but she has a heart condition that would require me to get the stabby. No woke reasons. I'm a healthy young man and haven't gotten the coof so far as I know. What do? You'll have to make that decision yourself. That's a conundrum. Pete2778 finally caught a live stream. Have a $5 for your troubles, Sticks. I'll use that to buy another spray bottle specifically for the cat. Jolly Roger 183 first time I catch you live. Keep up the good work. Greetings from Germany. Oh, we're right next to the German border here. We're keeping an eye on Merkel's people to make sure that they don't blitzkrieg since they are rearming at this time. Yeah, tell people on Rumble, apparently, I guess the live stream over there is not going to be working at all, unfortunately. Which is really sad because sometimes I get about as many viewers on Rumble despite having a fourth as many people following me on the platform. So their streaming service really has taken off and is doing good things, but it's not working at this time. We will launch into some news. This is from Mail Online. Russia is on the verge of direct collision with the U.S. and NATO, and it's very possible there will be no arms control treaty with America after 26, Moscow warns. This is from Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov, says the U.S. is escalating the war in Ukraine. Of course, begun by Russia, although predicated on certain NATO actions. there were other better ways to handle it, but cooler heads didn't prevail. War is what happens, by the way, when diplomacy fails. It's an old adage. Here's what I would say. Is it not strange that absolutely no diplomatic efforts are being made whatsoever by these parties at this point? Everyone's like, an escalatory situation involving several nuclear powers versus another one through a proxy state, and we're pumping the region full of arms just like we did in Afghanistan at the end of the 70s, early 80s under Carter and Reagan. You saw how that turned out. There's nothing wrong here. Oh, they're threatening to scrap the START treaty, the one that was renewed under Trump, despite people saying, oh my God, World War III is coming. The Russians will hold out. You remember that one? That was years ago. There's nothing wrong with this. Everything's perfectly fucking normal. Everything's great. Don't worry too much. Yeah, the nukes aren't real and all of the other shit that you hear. YouTube 10.2, predictions for what happens if a neolib wins in 24. Continued boredom, mostly. It'll be very formulaic. It'll be a sort of like a second Obama term. Boredom, the doldrums, economic stagnation, basically what you get under any neolib administration, which is by design. They're slowly trying to push people towards the Great Reset sort of mentality. FTL Ralph, if you can change the outcome of one event in world history, then see a glimpse of 2023 in what timeline, which event? I'd do the South winning the Civil War. Well, actually, I would use it for personal benefit. The one event in world history would be that back when I had an opportunity when Bitcoin was about 2 cents a piece, I would have bought in. I probably would have sold it long before peak anyway, let's face it, but it would have been a tidy chunk of change. Would have been nice. I think that would have jump-started my content creation a few years early. Sebastian Monroe. I DM'd you about Warwick Publishing, which got that name from a furniture store, Warwick Furniture Store. Any Warwick cousins in those industries? Not that I know of. There are plenty of Warwicks in England, and also some actually in the South, in the U.S., Georgia, and Virginia. They're not all direct ancestors or anything like that. My Nibba. Stay pureblood. Don't take the honk honk. I can't complete your sentence there. Winston Fujimori. Did you see that video of the Twitch streamer crying about watching deep fake porn? Tell me I'm not the only one seeing this as a nothing burger. Yeah, I see it as a nothing burger. It's going to continue existing. There's nothing we can do about it. I would say if you're worried about kids looking at illicit content, then parents and or guardians need to be more involved. The state doesn't need to do that. The same state that you would want to entrust to police the internet more is the one that's explicitly using its current ability to police the internet for malevolent reasons. And the corporations that you would secondarily have to employ, they're doing the same thing. So X-Trip Boom X, why is Rumble not working? I have no idea what Rumble's problem is at the moment. It does appear that I am, I'm still not live on Rumble. Something went wrong. I put in the info, created the live stream as always, but I am not live there. The stream over here is not working today, but I'm leaving a like just to spite YouTube, says Rel21000. Yeah, I don't know. Can you still super chat over there? You probably can. Give me money anyway for literally nothing. I'm just joking, of course. Next news story. So yeah, Biden's dereliction and other problems in NATO right now are threatening the START treaty. How lovely. It's like Russia's already invaded. You know that it's not going to end on that end simply because of military expeditions or endeavors. Why don't you at least attempt diplomacy? You know, let cooler heads prevail. YouTube 10.2, what makes you so passionate about what you do? I enjoy it. Honestly, if you can get into a job that you also enjoy, it's the best thing ever. That's why I crank out so many books. I'm working ahead on those too. I expect that it'll be actually more than 10 edited works for the year, simply because I can't restrain myself from editing for very long. Georgie Georgiev, hello mate. Here's some weird currency again. And I have no clue what you just said to me or how to pronounce it because it's in Cyrillic. BGN 10. Thank you. Next news story. This is another Mike Singleton Cope post here. I'm just going to rip it apart intellectually, which is really easy to do when you're dealing with someone with a third grade education on civics, apparently. He's NBC, formerly. He's a craptivist, best known for shitposting on Twitter, so it gives you an indicator of what you're about to see. Republicans, and again, confusing party with ideology, very telling, continually talk about crime and promote their candidates as crime fighters. Yet the murder rate in red states has outpaced blue states by 23% over the last 20 years. The highest murder rates are in 4 red states: Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Missouri. And I chimed in and said, now do counties. Where are those murders located for anyone who understands damn lies and statistics here? They're located in a handful of large cities in those states. Yeah, they've been completely ripped apart by neoliberal policies too. Leftoids control places like New Orleans, generally speaking, Mobile, Alabama, certainly St. Louis, Missouri. Yes, St. Louis is a very safe place to be, I'm sure. You go out to the cornfields outside of St. Louis or some of the other larger metro areas there, crime is much lower. Again, I've pointed out before, and I've checked the statistics myself. If you're in rural America or in most small towns in America, although unfortunately that's beginning to change now because of, again, corrupt state policy, you will find that the murder rate is on par with places like Switzerland or Norway. It's comparable to the developed zones in Europe. If you go into the inner city, you end up with crime rates that more resemble Zimbabwe or something like that. There's a reason for that. Cities breed crime. People are packed in more. You've got machine politics more. It's like if you go to Illinois, most of Illinois is a cornfield, rolling hills, corn, and shit like that. There's not a whole lot of gun crime or murder or anything else in those areas. But if you go to Chicago, that'll more than compensate for it because half the state fucking lives there. Well, no shit, there will be more murders. You see the problem? Let's say I want to start a gang. We're going to deal drugs, hire hitmen and shit like that. We're going to run prostitution ring. Do I want to do that in a cornfield or do I want to do that in an area where I can see 1 million people within a 10-block radius? I think the latter is a little bit more efficient. Recruiting's more efficient. Buying off the cops is more efficient. Establishing a de facto mafioso-style no-go zone and with insurance policies for the locals is much more easy to do than if you're in an area where that same population of people is spread out over 100 square miles. It's just more efficient. It makes business sense. And at the end of the day, they're businesses. Shay311 sent $1.99. Thank you very much. No comment. Ozzy's Robots. Morning, Sticks. If we ever did a live stream beside the museum, I'd love to talk inside baseball on pharma. Tired of seeing people on Tim Pool or Jimmy Dore that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Clank. Talk inside baseball. Oh, okay. I get the reference. First, I didn't understand what you were saying. Georgie Georgiev. Also, I perfectly understand you about diplomacy. Trump managed to hold Putin off for some time because the orange man is unpredictable. But once Russia goes to war, you can't negotiate with them. I think that you can. You do have to make a military point and a diplomatic one, but I don't see what our current situation, what problem does it solve? Ukrainians are still dying. Russia is still locked in a stalemate with Ukraine. I don't see that changing anytime soon, although stranger things have happened. It's basically just a money laundering operation at this point, it seems. Zedekiah. Headed to Mumbai later this year. Seems like you can only buy things with cash or digital wallets. I don't want to give Apple or Google my bank info. Yeah, cash is king for that sort of thing. Haha, that rhymed. Mungie, I don't think shaming the cat into sub will work. Yeah, I don't think that the cat gives a shit. She's asleep at the moment. So yeah, lies, damn lies, and statistics. Oh, I might be live on Rumble now. Maybe. Let's see. Yes, I am live on Rumble because I don't have my volume on. I don't know whether there's a delay. Here, let me wave at myself. Let's see if I can watch myself wave in more or less real time. Still waiting. Still waiting. Yeah, it's delayed horribly. My apologies to people on Rumble who will not understand that right now the chat is completely uncoupled as far as the timeline from what you are seeing me say. So I apologize for that. I don't know what Rumble's problem was. I guess it's like a 10-minute delay at this point. It took forever, actually, to get it to load like the actual video upload live page. Paper is not money. What is money? Answer, the most saleable commodity, gold. Yeah, but you can't really go to the store and buy things in gold. You should be able to, but, you know. MJ, always enjoy your insights. Sticks, clank on. I will always continue clanking. Right now I have another energy drink, though. I needed it after this fucking morning. Again, 5 takes for my first video, thanks to the cat. And it was all the cat. The baby was being quiet. Everything's fine. No technical difficulties. The cat comes in and says, oh, you thought you were going to have a good morning. You didn't refill my food bowl, fucker. Stephen Nizek, the strangest thing about the current Ukraine issue is the NFAO types on Twitter. Always claim they're not AstroTurf, say they always oppose the war. When asked about Russia's invasion of Crimea in 2014, then spurred. Yeah, I'm against Russia's invasion. I would be against war against Russia. I don't want anyone to be dragged into any fucking wars. Leave people alone to their own devices. They'll typically be much more peaceable than when they're led by some third party. Julia68 YouTube, YT, get the cat some valerian. You'll appreciate her knocking things over. Yeah, I've tried giving him catnip too. Now, they don't react as much to it. Sometimes they do, most of the time not. Black Tears Red on Rumble. I have an ideology that if a country or nation is unable or unwilling to defend themselves without outside help, they deserve to be conquered by the invading force. Sometimes, though, that's the result of subversion of the population that has nothing to do with the country having done anything specifically wrong and is rooted in the imperialism of another nation. Anyway, speaking of that, actually, we have the next story. Nikki Haley weighing in the other day with something that's like a no-brainer. Israel has the right to self-defense. And people are, weighing in on that. Some people are like, no, Palestine, and others like, yay, defend Jerusalem. Here's been my thoughts on Israel v. Palestine for some time now. I don't really care because there are no innocent parties involved. I do care about larger policies, though. So when Israel decides to randomly bulldoze a Palestinian village and then people get mad and throw rocks or fire off rockets, it's understandable. That's number one. Number two, I'm getting goddamn tired of so-called leaders within the United States, Nikki Haley not currently in office, which I think will remain the case for quite some time. I get pissed off when you have a porous southern U.S. border, you have attacks on our Constitution, you have at the very best a lackluster economy, which could be far better. We've seen what Trump could do, for example, on economics. It's not been replicated by the current stewardship. We have all manner of problems in the United States, which is the government that we pay our tax money to. While they're trying to tell you that you can't have more than 10 bullets in the magazine for your rifle, they're sending fucking missiles and rockets and tanks and shit to Ukraine. While they will say little or nothing about our own border problem, they absolutely will go out of their way and bend over like a fucking pretzel, tying themselves into knots to adulate whatever administration in Israel happens to exist at the time on that token. They do the same with Taiwan, by the way, and Ukraine. Ukraine has the absolute existential right to exist and to resist all force against it. But the American people just have to sit there and grin and bear it when we're being overrun. And I have a problem with that. My belief is that until our own interior problems are at least reasonably ameliorated, you don't need to have 0 border crossings, but you need to turn off the goddamn spigot. You don't need to, on day one, enact Second Amendment purism, although I would support the effort, by the way. But you do need to address the illegality of the NFA, et cetera, state level mag bans and shit like that. It needs to be addressed legally. You don't need to instantaneously wave your magic Trump wand and make the economy hunky-dory before you're giving money to other people who genuinely need it at the time and are allies. But we should not be spending as much money as we do, not by a long shot, on other nations, giving them all of this shit when there are people in the United States, some of whom serve their country, fucking former doctor, sitting under the highway overpass, begging for donations. We should not be doing the things that we do. And this is a completely tone-deaf post here. We should not be worrying about what other countries, especially countries with first world militaries like Israel, what they're up against from insurgent groups when we can't even solve our shit at home. And since when, by the way, to Nikki Haley, the apparent globalist, Can I please ask you when the last time U.S. intervention in any other country in the world actually led to a good result? God, the Israeli regime, if they were smart, they would tell the United States to fuck off and take all of its assets with it and go rogue, simply so they wouldn't have to deal with that goddamn curse, that kiss of death that is United States military aid. Look at what we managed in Afghanistan. We propped that goddamn regime up for 20 years. What happens? The second we leave, it collapses. We hadn't even fully left yet at the time. Look at Iraq. Iraq still got problems. Look at Syria. Look at Korea. That crisis was never resolved. That was started back in the 1950s. It's a huge problem. And then you've got people like Nikki Haley. They keep talking about how sacrosanct other nations' security is. Other nations' borders are. Other nations' economies are of great import. Other nations, their population deserves our pity, our mercy, our handouts. Our population, fuck them. Homeless people, fuck them. Throw them in jail for vagrancy. People with they've got some sort of problem. They're on crack or something. Fuck them. Throw them in jail. That's how they treat our own population, the one that pays their taxes. Well, I know homeless people aren't paying much in taxes, but you get the idea. There's no attempt to improve their lives in any way. X-Trip Boom X Sticks, a little bit of a giveaway, but you should try the new Energy Fast Twitch just came out. Sugar-free, got vitamins and some caffeine, made by Gatorade, super tasty. Fucking hate Gatorade. I think I'll pass on that one, but thanks for the tip. Yeah, so Nikki Haley can sit on it. And probably does, she's one of the crowd, the WEF crowd. She's a true globalist too. She's like from the school of Dick Cheney, so she's part of the Galactic Empire. She's a Sith Lord. I don't think she's quite a Sith Lord or even an apprentice. She's the Sith underling. She's the Sith janitor. She'll break 3% maybe if she announces a run against Donald Trump for the nomination. To be clear, if you had a Nikki Haley as the GOP nominee, I'd drop the party like a hot fucking potato. I would refuse to support them in any way. No, I don't care if they are marginally better on a couple issues I care about, like guns. Basically just a bunch of Elmer Fuds anyway. Hey, like I said years ago, it'll be Ocasio-Cortez 30 years from now leading the NRA. She'll be holding up a BB gun and saying, hell no, for my cold dead hands, can you have my 30-shot capacity for a pellet rifle? That's basically how the GOP often operates. If they default back to that cuckery, they're not going to get my fucking support. Either go full populist, actually stand for something, be different from the Democratic Party, or just shut the fuck up and dissolve and go away. Next news story. Speaking about globalism weakening people. U.S. general warns British Army no longer among world's top-tier fighting forces, according to a report. The UK, of course, involved in Ukraine, and the United States general here criticizing them a little bit more than mildly, saying that they're barely a second-tier fighting force. Ironically, they compare the French to the British there quite positively. So I guess France is still a top-tier force, along with China, Russia, etc. But then you have a conglomerate of countries that have a second-tier force, so they got a lot of firepower and training and toys and stuff, but they're not on the same logistical level. Projecting force is harder for them. I would be reminded of the attempt that the British made, God, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. Their aircraft carrier had problems, although I think they floated a new one since then. So congrats on the great British Navy. Britannia rules the waves with your 2 ramp-enabled aircraft carriers. They were thinking about renting one from France. How humiliating, by the way, to be like a British nationalist and you're learning that you're getting a French aircraft carrier for a year. Jesus. I would say France does have a superior military capability. I think they also have more nukes, so there's that. Britain could easily solve the problem if they would get their fucking shit together, but they're too deep in globalism. But like everything that's happened over the last few years, it will probably be blamed on Brexit. So I'm just telling you up front here, when this hits the tabloid British press, which is all they have, it'll be blamed on Brexit. Brexit weakened us, essentially. Brexit ripped apart the fabric of our proud British culture, formerly European culture. We were stronger together. We had more money back then. All of these problems, lockdowns, Brexit. Economic downturn, Brexit. Your aircraft carrier sprang a leak, Brexiteers obviously were the ones that welded that part of the ship. They'll blame Brexit. And they're going to try to get people back into the globalist huddle. That's a prediction, by the way. But it is, I mean, it is true. I mean, you're going to be supplanted at some point, potentially, by Egypt, by Turkey. Certainly, I think India's probably already leapfrogged you. So your former colonies keep getting more powerful. Why are you having so much of a problem? The Defamation League, disappointed. Sticks, the other day you said bands should start releasing End of the World, We're All Going to Die in Nuclear Fire music. That is literally what we're doing. We even have a song describing radiation sickness. Just saying, thank you for the cash, and so you get a shout out, of course. But you got to understand, bands is plural. You are a band. Other bands need to follow fucking suit. Pull your weight. We need more 2 minutes to midnight, goddammit. Jeremiah Anos Hadia Babib, my apologies. I don't know if that's your real name or not, and I'm not very good at pronunciations of some things. People have often told me, finally caught you live and can simp money to you. Up early to go snowboarding in 0-degree weather in Upper Michigan. Have a swell day, good sir. Better than your day being in 0-degree temperatures snowboarding. I never understood winter sports at all. Fear the Old Blood. I said this on Twitter, but you should do a video or talk about the new Depeche Mode song when it comes out on a live stream. I'll probably address it if it's either terrible or if it's really good. If it's primo stuff or if it's fucking shit, I'll probably talk about that. And of course, their forthcoming album for March, Memento Mori, partially, I believe, a remembrance of Fletcher, who died recently. I'm excited. Favorite band. God, Dragon, Excellent Ghost. Good morning, Sticks. Did you ever make the Zuppa Toscana I told you about a few months ago? I have not had a chance to make that now. I made, what did I make? I made a masala, actually Suriname style, a few days ago. Made fried chicken fairly recently. I like to cook, but last night it was Liz's turn. I was so exhausted I didn't even get to the live stream yesterday. I had her make scalloped potatoes, and boy, oh boy, extra oniony and cheesy, and therefore extra good. Sparky, how can Russia trust the West enough to negotiate a settlement when the West admitted that it never intended enforcing the Minsk II agreement? Exactly. Mutual paranoia is what's going to, I guess, cause a wider conflict. Wonderful. Our leaders have done such a great job. Andrew Gagner, no fan of Phil Scott, but with a veto-proof majority in the ledge, what happens when the Dems finally get their progressive Vermont governor? They've already got it. It's Phil Scott. That's the point. First thing he did was cuck on gun control after running against Sue Minter and then instituting every part of the Bloomberg policy that she herself verbatim supported, with the exception of banning the evil assault weapons, which I suspect in the near future Vermont will push. To be clear, there's a reason I probably won't bother resettling in Vermont. Much as I like Rutland, much as I like the people there, New Hampshire, I think, is probably a better fit for my particular lifestyle when I'm back in the USSA. Pete2778, unlike the USA, Britain didn't profit from World War II. Well, they weren't in a position to profit, really. JJ Lovecraft, hey Sticks, I also just released an End of the World album called Welcome to Hell. All right, another shout out there. Welcome to Hell sounds fun. Ozzy's Robots had an epiphany. The best strategy for the GOP is do nothing against Biden. Make sure President Jill gets to 2024 as the incumbent to defeat the Uniparty. They do have a little bit of more respect for Biden. I think that it is basically poison pill mode, but yeah. Hello again to everyone on Rumble, belatedly, as you pour in. Next news story. Oh boy, I'm going to have fun analyzing this from the Hill. Republicans see education as a winning issue in 2024. Prospective GOP candidates for president and others too down ballot are leaning heavily into education amid concerns over issues like parental rights and the politicization of school curriculums. You've seen this from DeSantis. You've seen this from Youngkin, who neither of them has announced to run. Trump the other day, I talked about his educational proposals. And by the way, I do happen to agree with some of the pro-DeSantis crowd that was partially meant to address that particular aspect of campaigning. Trump, I think, suspects DeSantis wants to get in. Therefore, he kneecapped him on education by going out a little bit further right than DeSantis had. Good show, old lad. There was one part of the proposal I didn't support, which is the idea of rewarding teachers or promoting them or something based on their pushing of patriotism in the curricula. Because you don't really need to have star-spangled bullshit when you're learning math. You also don't need wokeness. Simply get rid of the wokeness and the Marxism and the CRT influence and shit like that. Let everything else alone. There's no further problem to solve. I think he probably put that in there as a slap against DeSantis, by the way. Here's what I would say, though. Here's the problem. The Republicans were handed education, specifically in the visage of CRT and children's rights as well, tangential to that, drag queens and shit. They were handed that issue in the last election, and what did they do? A few months before the election, all of a sudden they stopped talking about it entirely. I was covering it. I was seeing coverage of it, statements from politicians about it. I was covering it regularly over and over again for months and months. The Republicans were handed the win. They were given a winning issue. The Republicans, for a generation, have never been ahead on education. They were handed the ability to be so. In polling, it was considered an important issue. So what does the GOP do? They shut the fuck up about it and refuse to talk about it except on the local level. Well, the people that kept talking about it did a lot better now, didn't they? I'm wondering who from the RNC could possibly have inspired such a dramatic shift in messaging. Was it Ronna McDaniel and Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell? Oh, that's right. It was literally them. The Uniparty realized that it would win too bigly if they went forward with the issue, and they wanted to spite Trump and realized the MAGA candidates were still talking about it. So they wall of ice mode. They shut it out of the legacy media, they're their cronies, and they stopped talking about it themselves to drain interest from the issue. The Republicans self-sabotaged on the issue. The GOP now still has the advantage on education. Most Americans oppose Marxism and education. Most Americans do not want little kids going to overtly sexualized performances. Will the Republicans actually continue to talk about the issue and do something about it, or will they drop that too for 24? The world may never goddamn know. I have a feeling that part of it has to do with who the candidates are. Of course, we know what Mitch McConnell will do. He'll talk about it as though it's the biggest thing in the world till 2 months before the election, just like he did in 2020. Canadian theater sparks outrage after announcing black-only performances. The New York Post talking about this. Now, this is up in Canada, so, it's a weird country. Well, not technically a country, a subsidiary of the Crown. You're part of the Commonwealth directly and never gained your independence from a small and rainy island. A taxpayer-funded, that's important, Canadian theater organization has sparked outrage after announcing an event that will allow only black identifying audiences to attend. Now, there are a couple things I'd like to say about this. Number one, I don't care if you have an explicitly black skin only goddamn theater. That's fine. Freedom of association. You can be called a cunt by the population and they're going to say you're attempting to segregate people and you'll probably go out of business, but that's okay if you want to do that. It'd be no different than if a bakery said only whites allowed. Well, you've just, thrown out part of your potential clientele. You're losing money that way. You'll probably get harassed endlessly by people who will break your windows and shit. So eventually your employees will feel unsafe and probably quit. Some of them might decide to go renegade anyway. If you want to pursue that, I don't really give a fucking shit whether you do or not. And it's Canada, of course. Their legal system is wonky. But the second part is that this doesn't say that only black people can go to the theater. It says only black identifying people are able to go to the theater. Well, you can identify as a ham sandwich if you want to. So where's the legal problem here? The insinuation is basically this is a space only for people of African origin. That's the insinuation. But it's not the statement now, is it? What legal argument can you possibly make that it's discriminatory when anyone can identify as black? I can do that. I can show up at this theater and say, well, it's real in my mind. Basically like a Rachel Dolezal deal. This is the bad kitty, by the way, that created so many problems this morning. So she's getting Simba'd at the moment. Please go to sleep or something else. I'm slightly frustrated with you today. Please don't get back up here. She's going to try. She'll probably try it 3 or 4 times. We'll see what we can possibly do to keep down the noise level down there. But the thing is, if you can identify anywhere, basically, you could also look at this as a satire. Most people don't believe in transracialism, but they do believe in something else right now. And maybe not most people, but a significant proportion believe in something that is fundamentally the same basic premise, but it's not culturally, it's not a hip thing to promote. It's not considered part of woke corporate culture. One could could consider this to be gently satirical, potentially, which I think would be funny. The evenings will provide a dedicated space for Black theatergoers to witness a show that reflects the vivid kaleidoscope that is the Black experience. Sounds fine. Sounds like maybe it's going to be a bunch of woke bullshit, but, you know, it's a theater performance. By the way, I happen to like theater myself. Yeah. The National Arts Center in Ottawa is putting on a blackout night at its Babs Asper Theater on February 17th. So be there or be white, I guess. The middle of Black History Month for the performance of Is God Is, a play written by and starring Black women. Maybe I should show up for that. Maybe you should show up for that. You know, all you Canadians, you'd probably get in trouble if you did. People were responding. Cultural apartheid. The identitarian left proudly appropriates an oldie but goodie. Canada is starting to make the USA seem like Hungary. Racism is alive and well in Canada. I hope this event is boycotted. Trust me, that's what they want. People who don't ever go to the theater all of a sudden will go to the theater. They'll buy tickets. People will attempt to troll the theater by saying, hey, I identify as Black, but they're white or something like that. You're giving them your money, you idiot. That's exactly what they want. The theater's probably half insolvent like every other theater in the world or something like that, and this is just a grift. Oh boy, I'm loving it. A second blackout show is scheduled for the May 5th performance of Heaven in the Azrieli studio. The NAC, a federal cultural organization, said it was inspired to host two blackout shows after Broadway held a similar event in 2019 for Jeremy O'Hara's Slave play. I'm just wondering, are they going to have a whiteout day? We're celebrating white theater goers. Yeah, 50% off if you pass the skin color chart test. How well that would go over. Rel 21,000 on Rumble. According to Sun Tzu, deception and misdirection is part of war. It's the main part of war, actually. How foolish could our elected officials really be? Just saying. Oh, I think that we can ascribe much of their actions to ineptitude as opposed to malevolence sometimes. Conservacuck sent a buck and said clank. Yeah. The cat is attempting an invasion. We must stop her. Speaking of Elmer Fudd's, we mentioned that earlier. Elmer here definitely avoids mentioning that it doesn't apply to open carrying and is therefore not constitutional carry at all. That is my response to an article for the NRA posted, replicating Fox News thing here. Florida bill could hand gun owners huge win. That's debatable. And make the U.S. a constitutional carry majority country. Sounds good, doesn't it? Florida gets constitutional carry. All of a sudden, it's the 26th state that has it. So now a majority has spoken. You know, you can start leering off in that direction and getting rid of the anti-gun laws. That's great. And it's definitely an improvement over their current legal process there, where you have to get an actual permit to concealed carry. Problem is, it doesn't actually apply to open carry, only to concealed carry. What does that mean? It doesn't cover long rifles. Try concealed carrying one of them. It doesn't apply to most tactical pistols, especially now that the ATF is going to hyper-regulate them more. So it applies to handguns and to revolvers, basically, and that's it. And some of those are pretty beefy, too. Also, here's another problem. Let's say that it's legal to concealed carry your weapon. You don't need a permit for it, but it remains illegal to open carry. What are you going to get? A bunch of people who don't realize that fact and get in trouble because their shirt didn't quite cover the gun enough or something like that. Getting harassed. Well, making more money for the state when you drag them through court. I suppose that's the entire intent. It's basically a smokescreen. Any attempt at calling this constitutional carry is clearly wrong. In no other case does it not cover both concealed and open carry. It covers them both. I mean, it has to explicitly. How can you relegate long guns to being second class under the Second Amendment by saying you have a constitutional right to carry a weapon, but you must cover it up? That doesn't make any sense. Shotguns, rifles, hunting rifles or otherwise, again, certain types of pistols would not be covered under this. Well, there's a problem. Yes. Norton 750. Where did it go here? Free Cat, you can carry a shotgun under a trench coat. Yeah, you can, although that's not necessarily the greatest idea. But what if the wind blows the side of your trench coat open a little? Someone sees the barrel and shrieks and flips out. For a moment, you were open carrying. Well, you're not allowed to do that. All of a sudden, the cops come and pound you into the dirt. Sun Tzu, opinions on the occult significance of stones like jade or tiger's eye or astrology. Many weird related coincidences lining up in a relationship. I'm fascinated by the subject of the occult use of gems and also herbs and things related to it. I know a great deal about it. I do not generally consider different stones to have particular significances other than within one's own psychology. For example, I never wear gold. I only wear silver or garnet. Garnet's my birthstone. I do that mainly because I think it looks better on me. My skin tone looks better with silver and with the dark red color than it would with most others. Not really for occult reasons per se, but it affects my psychology. I think I look good, therefore I act differently than if I think I look like a piece of shit. I mean, other than, the other obvious problems, at least the rings look good. As far as astrology, I have a general belief in it under the heading of epigenetics. If you've never looked into that, you can. The idea of a person being born under different climatic conditions, when different pollen predominates, different pathogens, etc., I can accept that that may have a role in the early development of a human being in their first year. Absolutely. And I think that we should probably have a detailed study of that. I have a feeling that there is a difference in statistics between people born in different months, etc., depending on the climate that they happen to be in when they're born or raised. Josh Palillo, we still have red flag laws in Florida. Until that is removed, we are under tyranny. Just more half-assing. Yeah, you got red flag laws, but then you're trying to pass half-assed constitutional carry. Ozzy's Robots. A huge problem carrying in Florida is it's too hot. Yeah, I mean, I might not want to carry around a full-sized rifle on my back in Florida because, sweaty and shitty weather part of the year, but you should have the right to do that. Otherwise, you're subjugating that right. Even if there's no pragmatic reason, like why does this person need to have 5 handguns and their shotgun and all these other things on them and their plate carrier? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you think that it's bullshit or it's pathetic, they're compensating for little wee-wee or anything else. They still have the right to do so. It's just like if a person is speaking. You can think that what they're saying is totally bullshit. I think that every single day about many, many people that I see making online content. But that doesn't mean they don't have the right to say bullshit. It just means that that's my opinion about their bullshit. While I may think that my bullshit meter is pretty accurate, they still have the right to say it. Cat's Paw. Young kids should play in the dirt outside for good immune diversity. Fact. I agree. I think that we lead too cleanly of lives for proper development. Keep in mind that the first million years of our evolution is basically us living in the dirt anyway. So we did, believe it or not, we do have a resistance to many of those pathogens throughout our lineage. So, yeah, I like the idea of their fake constitutional carry. It's going to applaud it. And the NRA, of course, is applauding it. Meanwhile, gun owners of America and other groups are like, yeah, it's a good start. That's what I would say. You don't have to have total Second Amendment supremacy on day one. It's not pragmatic to think that can be attained. But we do need to move in that direction. It'll take years and years and years, and there will be people in the meantime that get litigated against and undeservedly, et cetera, et cetera. You have to be pragmatic, but you do have to have a goal in mind. The goal in mind shouldn't be, huzzah, people can carry little revolvers around under their shirts and it's perfectly legal. No, they should be able to carry whatever fucking gun they want anytime they want to fucking carry it. Unless they happen to be on government property or something like that. Down the street, on their own farm, in their own home, etc. They should be able to go around with a plate carrier and a battle axe and anything else they want to carry around. Get Texas gun control laws for Florida, and then I'll be impressed. That's what I would say. Schenk Uger's Sweaty Gunt. I have been fascinated by the meanings of dreams. You work on any books related to that? Oh boy, have I got you covered. I'm going to pop that in chat actually right now so you can peruse this at your leisure. Yes, I have done many, many books on divination, just to be clear. I'm going to pop a link in there for you, Schenk Uger's Sweaty Gunt. Check that out. I've got all sorts of editions available. Some of them are explicitly dream interpretation, and some of them touch upon it while being about various divinatory subtopics. One of my most favorite subtopics, actually, dream interpretation. There's also a collection. I don't know if it's on that part of the page or if it's on under my work specifically on the blog. I did a compilation that revolves around fortune telling and divination and stuff, and that one has a very lengthy set of dream interpretation. I think I derived it from 3 different full-length works. It could have been more than that. I can't quite remember. Christopher Robbins, civilization was built once we washed our behinds. Some people still do not wash their hands after doing so, by the way. Big problem. Anyway, I think I'm going to go offline here, of course. Oh, Chad Scott, did you see Jimmy Dore show laugh at Scott Adams? Yes, I did, and I thought that was very, very funny. But yeah, I think I'm going to go offline here. I'm making some veggie soup tonight, garden veggie, so it will be delicious. I won't take pictures of it, though, because people are way more critical about food photographs than they are about any political hot take you could possibly have. You could say, hey, yeah, I'm a map and I'm proud, and it would get less pushback than if you post a picture of food, no matter how delicious it was, by the way, and it happens to look bad. It is goddamn weird. It's fucking cutthroat. I get in the kitchen, you got to watch people with the knives, I suppose. That's about all. Peace out.